Plans that are devised for a neighborhood or community often have different impacts on different people, such as the construction of a heating network, planning a new road, or the more ecological management of public gardens, can therefore be viewed and experienced differently by people with different backgrounds and interests. In a community, people must come to acceptable solutions together, and everyone's unique perspective can provide valuable insights and solutions. But this diversity can sometimes also mean that not everyone is equally satisfied with a particular solution. That is why it is important when developing plans to consider the consequences for people with different interests. This way you can find solutions that support as many people as possible. Yet, it sometimes seems impossible to find a solution that is widely supported in a community. Misunderstandings and lack of awareness can make people feel less connected to each other in a community. How do we resolve or prevent such situations and encourage productive dialogue? How do we strengthen engagement and ensure that everyone feels heard and understood? Join us to explore how we can better engage with each other, find solutions, and make a real difference in our community. Attention, please. Now, we will tell you what we came up with for this. We've created a dialogue tool to help us. You can view this as a kind of microscope with which you can zoom in on the discussions and changing opinions in a community. It is also a kind of mirror in which you can recognize your own community with its different people and why you might have to laugh a bit about it together, making it easier to have a conversation about different interests. With this dialogue tool, we can simulate how people with different interests talk to each other, agree with each other, or, on the contrary, avoid a conversation. So pay attention. We will now delve into how the dialogue tool works and what we can learn from it.
In the dialogue tool, a person is displayed as a colored head. Lines between those heads indicate who is in contact with whom. Just as neighbors come together to exchange ideas, the simulated people in the dialogue tool also come together, so they can influence each other's opinions. The simulated people have different colors, which we can use to show different groups. For example, those with blue faces can represent persons who are in favor of change, and a green hat shows that they are in favor of a plan. A large head indicates that they are making themselves heard clearly. The smile on their head shows that they are satisfied. The pink faces are smaller, showing that this group is quieter. For example, the pink group is satisfied with how things are now and does not like too much change. The red hats indicate that they are against the plan, and the sad face shows that they are dissatisfied. Some people are quite indifferent, and as you can see have a neutral facial expression.
People talking to each other about a plan often support the opinions of their friends, but sometimes there are disagreements. In the course of a conversation, opinions may also change, sometimes because people become convinced, but often also to avoid conflict. In the latter case, people may start avoiding each other, which can be seen in the dialogue tool as the disappearance of a line of contact between them.
Everyone should have a voice when discussing plans that affect an entire community, right? In the dialogue tool, we can simulate conversations in a community by having groups with different interests and outspokenness talk to each other. For example, we can create a blue group that is more in favor of change and a pink group that likes to keep things as they are. We can also make a group more outspoken or quieter by making their heads larger or smaller. To see whether people are satisfied or unsatisfied with a plan, we look at 3 outcomes. How the plan affects your daily life is the first outcome that is important. Second, we look at whether the plan aligns with your personal beliefs about what is good and important for the community. And as a third outcome, we look at social outcomes. Do your friends and neighbors share your views, or do you stand alone?
We will get started with the dialogue tool. Let's start by imagining a real planning situation, such as a municipality proposing a heating network, a new business, or an ecological garden in your residential area. Everyone in the neighborhood can have their opinions about that. Some are in favor of the plan, for example, because it is good for nature, economy, or employment opportunities. Others are against it, for example, because they think it is unsafe or ugly, to name a few. Satisfaction and opinion about the plan determine where in the dialogue tool we place a person. We place supporters of the plan more on the right and opponents more on the left. And the more satisfied a person is, the more we place them at the top. For example, someone in the upper right corner is a satisfied supporter of the plan, while in the lower left corner opponents of the plan can be found who feel unsatisfied.
Now, let's take a look at what might happen in our simulated community. In the first example, we start with a situation where there are two groups that are both generally in favor of the plan, but we also see some opponents. The blue group is a bit more outspoken than the pink one. We see that they are busy talking to each other, and that in the end most people are satisfied and in favor of the plan. A wonderful outcome for everyone. In the following example, the blue group is in favor of the plan and very outspoken, while the pink group is quieter and against the plan. We see that the community remains divided and contacts between the two groups disappear. Such polarization is a bad outcome for the community, regardless of whether the plan is implemented or not. In the third example, we see that the pink group is initially against the plan, but is persuaded by the more outspoken blue group, which is strongly in favor of the plan. Many people in the pink group succumb to the social pressure they feel, but they are not satisfied with the plan as we see from their low placement. Example 2 and 3 show outcomes that may please some people, but which the entire community is not satisfied with, and which may even undermine community spirit. In a planning process, you naturally try to find broad support for plans that will satisfy as many people as possible.
Well, these were just a few examples of the processes the dialogue tool can simulate. Of course, much more is possible, and you can simulate a particular situation in the dialogue tool. Are there 3 or more groups? Is there a small group of fanatical opponents? Or is there a large group that doesn't really care that much? Playing with the dialogue tool can not only show what could possibly happen, but also help to take a moment to reflect on what a plan means for a community. Is everyone actually satisfied with a plan? Are there perhaps groups that are not really being heard? Or do some people support a plan just to avoid conflict with neighbors? We hope that the dialogue tool helps to take a moment to consider how a plan is supported by a community and contributes to a positive conversation about how as many people as possible can be satisfied. After all, in a changing world, we must support each other in local communities.